Welcome back, guys. We are now on day 3 of the intermediate confidently crocheting class. So we are going to pick up a similar thread that we ended with yesterday. And yesterday we were talking about taking care of yourself, and where we ended was the emotional aspect of it. And that cup of expectation and celebrating yourself was like the medicine to overcome all these emotional ups and downs. Okay. We're coming into the holiday season. And so, of course, we often, like anybody who does any type of craft, generally we have an excitement because we think of all the gifts that we could make, right? And it just, guys, it's part of us. There's nothing wrong with it. It's a gift, a love language, right? Gift giving. It's a legit part of love to give gifts. And so generally when you're doing all this, it kind of has like 4 stages. You have the fun, like, oh my gosh, I want to do this, I'm gonna do this, I can do that and that and that and that. Like, right, we have the fun part. We have the practical part, like, oh, I'm gonna need to buy blue yarn and green yarn, and I think I need red yarn for that project. And oh yeah, I can't forget the stuffing. And so you have the practical, like, I got all my stuff. Now it's accompanied with all the fun, and you're just getting into it and just enjoying it. All right. That leads to the daring aspect, our third part, during the process. Okay. It's a brand new project. You've never made this before. You kind of look through it. You're like, I think I can do that. No problem. You found a hiccup. You overcame. You found another hiccup. You overcame. Uh, this hiccup is taking a little bit longer. And emotionally, mentally, it's just starting to drain you, drag on you. Okay. What if you've made this project before, you have no problem with this project before, you're after it? Totally amazing, right? I mean, again, we have all different sorts, emotional aspects, everything that kind of comes into it is a variable, but this isn't your first rodeo, you're getting through it. Totally amazing, right? And we talked yesterday about the afterwards. And the afterwards was that entire cup of expectation, and how you can fill up your own cup of expectation along the way. So that's just really recapping like what we talked about yesterday. What do I want to get in today? So how do we actually we overcome what is a normal with anybody who crafts? And you have UFOs flying around, those unfinished objects, right? Whether you quilt or you crochet, you knit, you paint, you bead, doesn't matter. We generally, all of us, have some UFOs lying around, unfinished objects. So generally they get unfinished and moved away from because of one of those 4 categories that we talked about. So the fun aspect, generally, never mind, not that category. The fun aspect is why it is even in our realm, our craft room or our living room or the storage or the closet or the basement or this or that, because it was fun, right? Getting the materials, and maybe not so much of a hiccup. Okay. uh Maybe quite a bit of hiccup. As I'm talking about this, I suddenly am realizing about the stack of patterns that I have that I've never made. Never mind. We can have not started. Like I intended to. Oh, like I said, we're going to cover those dragon scales. Holy cow. You're right. Or I'm right. Or somebody's right. Anyway, somebody's right. I have this pattern that I went and purchased, right? To make these gorgeous crocheted boots. And and the bottoms are flip-flops. And I actually have been derailed because of materials, because of those flip-flops. And then I got derailed without even starting because that whole thing I was talking about being adventurous. See, I got to coach myself here. Uh, I was adventurous enough to think I could do it, and then I got cold feet. Funny that I'm talking about boots. I was like, oh, maybe I don't know how to do that. Like, I don't know if I can do that. We all have those moments, right? I'm human, you're human. But this is actually what I mean about unfinished objects, okay? Who knows? Maybe I should make myself some crocodile stitch. It's called crocodile stitch and dragon scale stitch. It's the same thing. But anyway, that would be really, really neat. All right, well, that might be something added to my project list. But all right, that third aspect was deering. And generally, a lot of our UFOs come from the deering process. So, how do you overcome emotional fatigue with these projects? It became a hassle and just too complicated. It had too many parts, and I just got overwhelmed. The list could go on, right? But how do we manage that? Now, yesterday we were talking about celebrating ourselves. That is something to definitely pull in and use that tool here. You would be amazed. It's like gratitude, okay? When you anything that you're thankful for and you can focus on the good things and that it does something in us, and it can actually kind of release the burden and the weight, and we can move forward. So, being thankful for an opportunity to further my skills and go ahead and conquer that dang flip-flop thing, right? Like that's just one way to shift the perspective. It's totally amazing. You can shift the perspective. And that's all it takes sometimes. All right. If it was something that was too complicated, okay. What do you want to finish it? Or do you want to actually just like, we can part ways with that project? And sometimes that's another aspect. Because if things become too cluttered emotionally, it can become too cluttered. You can have too many things connected to an unfinished project, depending on your self-talk, depending on how others talk about you too. Um, I struggled for a lot of years to finish a project I mean, there was a lot of things. I basically, all of these things, I did them. Okay. I got not overly, I'm excited. I love doing this. I love giving gifts. I had this great idea. I saw this and this and this and this and this and this. And I tried to get this and this and this and this and this all done. And I just couldn't get it done. And I had connected all of them instead of it being 15 different items for, nieces, nephews, children, in my brain, I turned it into one big item because I wanted it all done by Christmas. And it just became something too big to overcome. And it was something that was starting to cause me emotional damage because I was doing a lot of negative self-talk. Boy, I was treating myself like a piece of something. It wasn't good. And then I had talked a lot about these things that I wanted to make. And so they're actually, because I didn't fulfill what I had wanted to make, there were some family members that, they meant no harm, but they're like, I don't when I would bring it up again, I was like, oh, I could make this, and then be like, don't even talk about it. Like, because it just doesn't happen. And so for a couple of years, I really actually struggled to make anything because there was too much emotional clutter attached with things. And then that stuff can just kind of snowball and go into other things, and it's just yeah, we can open up a big can of worms, or we could just go ahead, and sometimes we just need to take a step back. So this isn't going to be like a self-help, hey, let me help you break all this down. But at the same time, let's break some of this down. When you look at a UFO in your item, a UFO in your area, okay? I have a bunch of these made up. I also have some skeins of yarn that was supposed to be making a whole bunch more of those. They're reusable water balloons. Yeah, it's September. And it's not where like nobody wants to go outside playing with water balloons now. So I am actually kind of like being intentional because I can feel some emotional, like, I didn't get it done in time. Okay, so what? Whose timetable was I trying to fulfill? Is it actually necessary? No, it was just a really good idea. Okay, well, the really good idea will be a really good idea next spring and especially next summer. Okay. Okay, so now I'm seeing possibilities. See, now I'm changing the perspective again. Okay, I don't want to hold on to them for that long. Okay, if I don't, well, I could do a flash end of summer sale, right? And just get them gone. Okay, what if I don't sell them all? Okay, I could hold on to them until next summer. Ta-da! Right? So it's just learning how to navigate and look at these things. When you look at something and you like, why is this a condemnation area? Why am I feeling like this? I mentioned in one of the previous days this cat couch. Half of it's done. I started it, I don't know how many years ago, right? So when I am looking at UFOs of like, kind of like would like my craft room back, I feel like things are ready to be an avalanche falling on me. What am I going to do? And that's one of those aspects. Well, why did I not finish that one? And so I start like, oh yeah, well, I wasn't having problems with it. It's just that I had this come up and this come up and this come up and oh, okay, well, life happens. Okay. I sometimes it's just that you're emotionally decluttering. So that is the end of this whole section though of things that just being aware of and information to know. Okay. So that crocheting is still something that always brings you joy and stress relieving instead of stress inducing. And these are just some of the things that I've learned along the way to help you navigate this. So starting tomorrow, oh, I am so sorry. We do have one more information. Tomorrow we're going to discuss the differences, a few differences between US terms and UK terms. So that's tomorrow. That is the end of information you need to know. Then we'll move into troubleshooting. So I'll see you guys soon. Bye.